Greetings, brothers and sisters. So glad that you would attend this phenomenal episode that we're going to have this evening at the All Seeing Eye. I'm Brother J. Crum Bay, Divine Minister in the Moore Science Temple of America. And it's always indeed an honor and a privilege to be able to bring our brothers and sisters and listening audience exact information that's correct for our socioeconomic uplifting. Because it takes finance to uplift the nation. This we do know. And I know in the previous shows, we've been talking about how to structure a business, how to find your why to do business, and various other aspects in terms of sources of funding, where we're going to target our abilities and our skills. Today, we're going to have the privilege and honor to hear from someone who's doing just that in the state and city of which they reside. We're going to be hearing from momentarily Brother L. Dunbar Bay, who is an NFL alumni, played with the Atlanta Falcons, the Seattle Seahawks, and another team. I believe it was the Tennessee Texans? The Houston
Well, they
Texans.
changed their name to the Houston Texans.
Yeah, the Houston
yes,
Texans.
the Houston
Absolutely.
Texans.
Absolutely. And this brother's been doing phenomenal work. A lot of the things that we talk about getting done when we look at sometimes our resources have been depleted or whatnot, or we don't have any type of resources or ideas of how to infuse your business, where to go with it and how to get it done, how to get the sources of funding. This brother is actually going to walk us through step by step. He has a presentation that he's going to present to us momentarily. But without further ado, what I would like to do is give him the opportunity to introduce himself to the listening audience that is presently awaiting this information. Brother Dunbar Bay, could you just let the audience know who you are and what this is all about? What are we in store for this evening?
Well, thank you again for what you're doing, Brother Bay. My name is Terrence Dunbar Bay. I reside in Dallas, Texas. For the last 7 years, I've been an intern and apprentice with the Department of Labor. My focus was trying to find out what resources were available so that we can now really have a say-so when it comes to economic development. A lot of times, we don't realize that it's so simple and so small that the resources are right at our fingertips. So what I have designed is a toolkit that's very simple that your 12-year-old kid can follow. It deals with a mixture of EB-5 Visa investments. If you don't know what that is, every community, every city, every federal government has investors that come in with information or funding to want to invest. The next step with my toolkit that I've developed is I can show you how to now work with Workforce Investment Opportunity Acts and grants that provide funding for small business owners, as well as those who are fell behind when it comes to not having a degree, not having any type of resources available for them, or don't even know the know-how. So my program and my toolkit that I put together and with this presentation will allow us to now have direct information and resources to these funding opportunities, as well as it gives us an opportunity to now really understand the importance of how to properly rebuild our community. Absolutely. The programs that we bring to the table today, brother, it was endorsed by both presidents, Obama and President Trump. And this initiative is very important that we get this to the hands of our listeners. So thank you for allowing for me to have this opportunity.
Well, I thank you for being here, and that's always good to know that these things that we're talking about here is already branded and endorsed. And it's already a work in progress. And from what I'm understanding you to say, that what you're doing there in Texas, I do believe you kind of started off in what was at the Oak Cliff area, right?
Yes. Right now, if you've been watching the news, you realize that Oak Cliff, Texas is in a situation where we have a lot of distrust when it comes to the policing. Our city councilmen have put us in a situation that our community is financially broke. Our school systems are now moving to what we're doing now, which is Zoom meetings. So I encourage and thank everybody who's now shifted their whole way of learning and a way of doing businesses. And so when I focused on the community that I was born and raised in, I realized that we did not have a playbook. And so I used my experience with playing professional sports. One thing we know in professional sports, you have 11 people on offense, you you have 11 people on defense. But with a playbook like mine, we now have 11 people on special teams that can change possession. I was drafted by knowing how to change possession. So with this playbook, now we can change possession and we can actually start winning.
Okay, well, that's all good. I mean, that's what we're looking to do. We're looking to align ourselves with
Right.
the proper teams, the proper individuals, because we know the work is not always done by one individual. It takes a team effort. You know, I mean, together everyone can achieve more. And it's just an honor to hear you say that. Now, can you kind of just walk us through what's going on? I mean, kind of give us some bullet points as to what we're going to be seeing here today. And if you know, whenever you're ready to get started, you know, because we only got a little bit of time. So we want to give them as much as they possibly can. And to our listeners who are out there viewing this right now, we are going to open up a segment for some questions. So feel free to flood us with those questions. We're going to address as many of them as we can. But I know LaTerrence's time is kind of limited. So we want to go ahead and get right on top of it, get through the presentation, open the floor for some Q&A. And then put a cap on it and, you know, definitely get some sources out there so people can reach out and align themselves with what's taking place, because this is the type of shift that it can not only just happen there in Texas, but in your local states and cities where you reside. This program can be duplicated, and this brother is willing to walk you through with how to get to the other side of that. Go ahead, LaTerrence.
So, yes. So first of all, I want to say we know the importance of branding. I put this presentation together for one reason. When people see that NFL logo, they know that it's serious. One thing about the NFL, they've found out a way to structure teamwork. We take care of the water boy, the equipment managers, the people that handle the hospitality, as well as the coaches. So one thing about the NFL, people don't realize that it takes about 300 people in any time of given situation to actually run campaigns. So what I did when I developed this toolkit about 2 years ago, I reached back to my NFL alumni and I said, if I can bring in the qualified business owners, would you allow for me to have the branding? So what you guys see is the only brand that can allow us to have a situation where we can now have that common dialogue when it comes to our young people. Everybody has a dream to have one of those NFL alumni logos. So what I'm going to do with this presentation, I'm going to run you through what I created for the NFL alumni. And the only thing they want us to do now is come with the ideals because the funding is there. So the first thing I want to do is I want to first talk about the mission of the NFL. Like any other business, you have to have a mission statement and a purpose. So a lot of you guys that are business owners, when you're looking for branding, it's better to have joint ventures. And so with this joint venture, I want to start off by talking about the first part of this program. The NFL alumni, we have a mission that we said we are caring for our own. The NFL alumni was founded in 1967, and it is a collection of retired alumni members. And one of our missions is to care for our own first. Just like I know about how we treat each other in the Moore Science Temple and other organizations, we have to look out for ourselves first. So that's the first piece. The second slide talks about our commitment to our communities. So I'm going to read this very slow. The NFL alumni, including myself, also has a traditional mission of caring for our kids across America. Players alumni give back to the local communities by raising funds. Let me repeat that again. We give back to our local communities by raising funds for youth-related charitable organizations. And we also have over 40 regional chapters. All right. And this tradition has existed over 50 years. When I read that mission statement and said, if you guys are committed to giving back and raising funds for these organizations or charitable organizations that sponsor our kids, why not put this in information? Why not put this information into the hands of those who have a mission of uplifting our fallen humanity by starting with our youth? The next thing I put together, this is a little briefing about me. Again, my name is LaTerrence Dunbar Bay. I am the CEO of my own company, Dunbar LLC. I actually changed it to Dunbar L3C because if you guys know about structure, I didn't have the right status. L3C and the LC is a different entity, but my title is a community project developer. That's a hybrid program. That's a mixture of classroom study as well as on-the-job training. And so I have 144 hours in the classroom about philanthropy, and I have over 2,000 hours in the field. When I came to the NFL, I said, we know where we have projects and we know we have funding, but I need to be the ambassador. And so when I created this ambassador program, my company, my nonprofit, is looking to sponsor nonprofit organizations. We're looking to sponsor Title I schools. If you don't know what a Title I school, that's any school that has more than 50% of their students or in their community that acquires for subsidized funding, or what we call it back in the day, Brother Bay, free lunch. So if you have a school, all right, or anybody like that that attends those, yeah, we can now have a program that we can say, now you guys are forcing us to come home, but now we finally have a program where we can get paid to do chores. So that's a little bit about me. All right, my nonprofit is called CCWOA. That stands for the City Crime Watch of America. I remember growing up as a kid and I was walking through my community, that yard sign didn't mean nothing if we didn't have street lights. And so my background with security consulting, I realized the importance of us now having a sign or a brand. All right. And so that's a little bit about me, and I can send you guys a slide. But when it comes to my goals is to, first of all, increase alumni ambassador memberships. What is an alumni ambassador? Everybody did not have a chance to get drafted. We have a lot of people that have the ideals about what it takes to be an NFL alumni, but they don't understand the passion and networking that it takes to be a professional first. So with my program, we're going to increase individuals like yourself, Brother Bay, that can come in as an ambassador because you have love for the game. What this is going to do is we're going to increase volunteering from the NFL alumni. We have three different parts. We have current players, we have alumni, and we have players association members. So when it comes to an alumni, that's anybody who's played 3 years or more that is now coming back and being a part of the alumni association. So your average alumni member, they can be as early as age 24. All right, so my programs will go straight into entrepreneurship for anybody who loves to play the game. The next part is this. I wanted to show and monitor and help develop new nonprofit organizations and partnerships. Now the first time ever, we're able to partner and come in a membership type base where we can now develop partnerships between the NFL alumni, the police, the government, the community, as well as the host committee. The host committee are those individuals that host the Super Bowl events. The host committee are those that are in charge of raising funds and putting people on camera to make them look good. I call it the Jay-Z effect. So we now have an opportunity now to establish new 501c and fundraise. And I've already committed to raise $2,500 of donations to 4,500 members. That's already in play. So what is an ambassador? I put some goals up. The ambassador program was created to increase the community participation and allows companies of all sizes to take part of this mission. That's to serve the retired players and members. That's to support our charitable foundation. We can care for our kids. But this is what I want to get to, Brother Bay. When that 1 through 5 on the right side, this is what I can bring to you guys. A lot of you guys have small businesses, but you don't understand the workforce training. Every city, every municipality has a workforce training program. If you want to research this information, it's called WIOA. That stands for the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act. You guys heard about the CARES Act, but we didn't realize back in the early 70s that each successful business had a workforce development training program. Basically, what that means is we have had funding for any young adult under the age of 27 that had problems with incarceration, they had problems with their background, if they had problems with housing, we had federal funding put to the side that can support these individuals, and it's been around since 1975, give or take. And that's sad that we did not know that these programs exist. So if you know anyone that's under the age of 27, we have funding. That funding would take care of these individuals for 17 weeks or more, and they get 50% of the wages of their trainer. When it comes to veteran training, we have a lot of homeless veterans, but with this toolkit and this program that we can introduce, we can now get those veterans financially stable, and we can also help them with their mental capacity. when it comes to membership, soft skills developer. And then we do the hybrid program. A hybrid is an intern plus an apprentice. When I was growing up, I was always told to go to school so that you can be an intern, but nobody told us the importance of being an apprentice. We did not know at age 12 that every one of our children should at least have 2,000 hours of a trade. So that's what my program brings to the table. All right, this is what I love about this situation. Because of my commitment to my community and my commitment to you guys, the NFL alumni has developed a social justice matching grant program. All right. For years, they've had programs that they would match 1-to-1 up to $5,000 on the behalf of a current or former NFL player. I can be real with you guys. We have over 5,000 members, but only 300 alumni applied for this grant. So if you know any alumni member, anybody that has ever wore the shield, say, we have a brother that can now allow for you to put your name on a grant, and now you can endorse that right into the communities that we serve. And I'll have to make an update to this slide because of my efforts. Now this grant is worth $10,000. So if you have a nonprofit, or if you need funding, or if you have a small business and you know any NFL players, current or former, they have $10,000 of free funding that can support your social justice initiative. All right. And let's talk about some of the initiatives. As long as it's talking about education, criminal justice reform, community policing relationships, addressing poverty, racial equality, workforce, and economic development. So again, we have 5,000 athletes that are alumni, but this game has been around for over 100 years. So my job is to bring in other alumni members or current or former players saying, if $10,000 times 5,000 members, that's $50 million that we're leaving on the table because we're not answering the right questions. So a little bit about that. This is a little continuation about the social justice grant. I don't want to cover that a lot, but these are the type of things I bring to the table. So I took this initiative, and when I was looking at the greatest owners in the world, like a Jerry Jones or a Arthur Blank, I said, how is it that you guys have these billion-dollar stadiums? How is it that you guys are getting a tax credit? How are you guys able to do all of this building in our communities, as well as coming in and talking to our kids and selling them the dream to wear that shield? So with this program, I put together what we call stadium fundraising. Stadium fundraising means simple. I can now teach you about EB5 maps. If you are watching this live, please Google EB5 investment opportunities. That is a foreign investor that has $1 million or more. They have to invest into a green area. A green area is what they call a hood, because they have to get a guaranteed return on their investment. They have to put 10 or more people back to work. They have to create jobs, and they have to have economic development. And for years, these community leaders have been using EB5 money to grow our community. They've been using WIOA, Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, to write off the debt, and then we're the one losing. So in my program, we'll go dive deep into this process, and it's 1, 2, 3. I can show you and walk you through on how to enroll this paperwork. And that's what I mean when I say stadium fundraising. When you go to a stadium, you guys don't realize that every person that works in that stadium is not a worker. About 85% of those individuals are volunteers. So just throw that by example. The people that you pay to park is a volunteer. The people that check your security is probably a volunteer. The people that are serving your food is probably a volunteer. So we have an opportunity now to fundraise at all of these upcoming events. I have 115,000 events. And let's say I do a basic donation of $50 and we match it. We can easily now be have economic funding without begging, without standing on the corner. So this is what I mean when I say stadium fundraising. All right. What do we need from you? All we need is your volunteers. The money is there. The information will be given. All right. All you have to do is be 16 years of old and we'll complete the short training. But this program allows us now to put our money where our mouth is. What are you learning? You're learning how to, first of all, create a profitable for-profit business. You're able to also be able to create a profitable fundraising opportunity or nonprofit. You're also you're going to understand the value of joint venturing. I call it a marriage. A lot of times we partner with individuals and we give them 50% of our time and 50% of our life. So I'm going to teach you structure. What's the difference between EB5 investor? What's the difference between an EIN number? What's the difference between a social security number? What's the difference between a Dun and Bradstreet? What's the difference between a SAM number? How do you actually be ready to get a case number? The reason why we're losing is because nobody has established a small playbook that's going to give you 21 minutes of real information. And how old do you have to be? 16 years or older. What do you have to do is complete the short training. The reason why I chose the stadium concept is because I know we can put millions and thousands of people in one room and we're having fun learning. All right. The next thing, these are some more grants that the NFL alumni has to the table. We have the player matching youth high school grant. This allows us now to go to any coach and say, hey, we want to talk about philanthropy. We know we have funding. We know we've been bamboozled. Now we finally have a play where the NFL can also match grants. These are 3 other grants that we have at our disposal that we are not utilizing. And I hold myself accountable, making sure that the people that are watching this live or on this video have access to these type of programs and grants. The next slide, let's talk about what it means to leverage the ambassadors. This is my information again. Like I said, this is a short, brief presentation, but I'm telling you now, the answers are there. We can finally now relax. We can finally not have to worry about trying to protest. We can now put our money in our education what's needed. So that's the end of this present slide. If we have questions or anything like that, brother, please ask me because I'm here for you guys.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm sure we have a few questions already kind of coming in. Now, you mentioned a couple of things, and for the clarity of the listening audience, I know that you said in the onset that this particular presentation, it was geared towards being able to get those other alumni involved, correct? Are you there, brother?
When I say get them involved, the main thing, when I say get them involved, it takes a village to uplift the nation. And
Absolutely.
So we have thousands and thousands of individuals who played this game, but when they're not playing anymore, they get lost into the fire. So with my programs and with this training, we can now partner with small businesses like yourself or big businesses, but now we bring in the manpower and the educational resources that'll make this transition very smoothly.
Okay. Now, in light of what's taking place with this pandemic, a lot of the stadiums,
Correct.
Are closed. I know you mentioned something about having 115,000 events lined up. Was that based on before COVID? Or how can this program still be implemented for where we can get those young volunteers to come in and take part of it if the stadiums are closed?
So the stadiums are closed for a purpose. The reason why they're closing is because they give us an opportunity to talk about funding. You remember I was talking about those resources? So while they're closed, my program and my skill set would help any nonprofit develop what we call a security management program. We can do online training. We can now talk about hospitality management. The first job that these young people go to, they usually go to a fast food restaurant with the ideal that I'm tossing fries. But when I was growing up, I remember Calvin. Calvin said, I'm going to own a restaurant. And so now we have the resources in the playbook to bring in firepower with my alumni as
we lost you, brother.
Are we there? Okay, no, we're there. We're there. You know how this is live. So we now have. Are we there?
Yeah, you're there. You back.
Okay, so now I can now take stadium fundraising concepts because the NFL is nothing but a big league, a big little league. When I got the NFL alumni to endorse this, now we can talk about hospitality management for your house. We can talk about landscaping management for your community.
Okay.
The problem that we have in our big stadiums of community, I can take the same concept of what I built for the NFL and create and show resources where we can now first cut our own grass, make that a trade, secure our own communities, make that a trade. Take the hospitality component because we're at home now. We can now have the trifecta. You can have a home-based business, a home-based nonprofit, a home-based school that now gives you a trade and a certification for building your own house and your own community up.
And the funding to actually implement that school. Because the
Yes,
thing
and
is,
the
what you're
funding to back it.
absolutely, because what you're saying, if I'm, on point with this, is they're getting a trade, a skill, by being an apprentice. They're getting paid to actually do this, correct?
Correct. I went further than that. I've even wrote a grant that will allow for those students to now support their home-based business owner, which should be their mom. The problem that we have with a lot of fathers that go into the correctional facility, they come out with no businesses. So when I wrote this program, my focus was trying to show them how to properly correct their status. It's a status correction. So you can never go back into your community if you have a background, but 95% of the people that run businesses in the construction industry are independent contractors. So what I'm doing is bridging that gap, showing you how to properly correct your status when it comes to the business standpoint. So yes, my program.
Talk about status for a minute so they can understand. What do you mean by status? Correct their status. We're having a little technical difficulties, but we'll be all right.
No, so let's talk about status correction.
Yes.
Well, the first thing you do, if you ever open up a business, the first thing you do is you go into the IRS website, irs.gov. The first thing they ask you is, are you using your social security number or ITIN? A lot of us don't know the difference between a social security number and an ITIN. The next thing they ask you, are you going to be a sole proprietorship? Are you going to be a C Corp or an S Corp? Well, when you become a business owner and a sole proprietorship, they ask you, are you going to be hiring any of the I do apologize. We must be, hey brother, we must be talking about something good that we break in the internet. So the first thing they ask her, you got me? Yeah, because we've been talking all day. But the first thing they ask you, are you going to hire anyone in your household? That's very important, because if you don't understand what they're saying, they're telling you, start a business and immediately hire your individual household member, but don't hire them on as a worker, hire them on as a business partner.
Okay.
So just that little glit is what I bring to the table. Then they ask you, what type of business are you going to be doing? Is it going to be a home-based business? A lot of us skip over that small piece. This is what we call consulting. Every individual can be a consultant. Then they ask you about, are you going to be an LLC or L3C? How many of us know about L3Cs? We don't know what that is. So if you know what an L3C is, I'm going to send you $25 right now, because you need to be moving and operating. The next thing they ask us, if you're going to be a C Corp or S Corp, but they never told us about a B Corp. A lot of times when we start these nonprofits, about 95% of us don't even know that it's 28 different nonprofits or more. So when I say status correction, my company is kind of helping you correct your status, because if you're going to be a part of this movement, you have to make sure that your paperwork is immediately ready. EIN number is free. A Dun & Bradstreet number is free. The only thing you have to do is have the commitment to doing the paperwork. And so what my movement brings to the table is that we know how to get you corrected, and we're going to bring in funding and resources to support your program. And that's economic development.
Absolutely, that's economic development all day long, because you've actually taken it out of one framework and making it applicable to the average person that's just in their household. It's not necessarily, because I think a lot of people might have missed it thinking, hey, I got to be a pro football player, or at least be retired for 3 years, and maybe now I can get some help. Well, no, what LaTerrence is saying, if you're listening between the lines, is he's implemented the framework where these things can be applied to our everyday aspect of life as we know it today. Now we can get paid for those things and build community and our economic securities at the same time. Now, I got a couple of questions for you, LaTerrence. One of the questions is, okay, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, but you can emphasize a little bit more on it. It says, what is meant by structuring a business?
when I say what is meant by structuring a business. Okay, so let's talk about my 21 steps. Okay, the first thing is when you start a business, you have to understand the difference between a joint venture and a partnership agreement. So when I say structure, if you have your EIN, the next step is now going immediately getting your Dun and Bradstreet. After you get your Dun and Bradstreet number, which is going to take 7 to 10 days, you immediately got to go to your local municipality to get your assumed name certificate. Once you get the assumed name certificate, if they charge you, it's less than $25. Once you got that assumed name certificate, you immediately got to open up a bank account. All right. If you're not doing that within the same day, you're not structured to get your number back from your Dun and Bradstreet so that you can now get your SAM number. Your SAM number stands for System Award Management. And that's the number that we're losing out on. We don't have a Dun and Bradstreet, and so we're not having a System Award Management number that allows for you to get the grants and funding. And then a lot of times we worry about how do we raise funding? Well, I show you how to take anybody that's homeless or anybody who's already getting money to get them through the paperwork, because there's no reason why within 7 days they should be self-sufficient and financially stable. And so what I do when I'm talking about structure, everybody that you see and you come in contact with, that should be your potential business partner, because the game is called being a student. We worried about the for-profit, but we're not worried about the educational piece. All right. So my thing is a teaching concept. If I had a mastermind group of 25 different leaders, I don't care who wins, because I'm already structured to receive the tax breaks and the donations by training you. And I think if we now take America and make us a nonprofit instead of this for-profit entity they've been for years, now we can offset the American debt by education.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. And I like the flip that you put on it, and obviously you did your research to get that aspect ascertained. Another question I have for you: how do you apply for the matching social justice grant or connect with the Alumni Association?
So first, what you can do, I'll definitely give you my information. You can follow me on either LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram. And then I can definitely have access where you can direct message me. My phone number is, I can put the slide back up, 214-702-3853. And what I would do is I would research any alumni or ex or current player in your community. So we can now we can now go through situations where it's really simple as Googling the top or Googling any NFL player that you know, or anybody that's went to your high school or anybody that's in your community, and they don't know about the grant. That's the problem. They don't have any idea about any of these resources because they didn't have anybody like me fighting for them to get this information. So if you know anybody that play professional sports, if you know anybody who has the passion to play for that play the game of football, any team mom, any coach, any cheerleader, now we can bring them in on the ambassador piece, and they automatically qualify for an opportunity to get some of this grant funding. That's only one small piece. When it comes to the federal programs and the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act and the CARES Act and Economic Development Program, those programs are there. You just got to have all of your paperwork done. You got to have a SAM number. You got to have a CASE number. You got to have joint ventures. You got to have insurance. And if you don't have that, this is why we're raising funds to support you to get you ready to take the ball.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we got a how-to bullet pointed all the way through in that 21. Is it a 21 point plan or a 21 minute? How did you word that again?
21 minutes.
Okay.
21 minutes. Give me 21 minutes of your time and we'll get you going, because a lot of us are already small business owners. We just don't understand how the whole play runs. I call it like Uno. I'm going to skip you, reverse, draw two, draw four, Uno out. So that's Uno out.
That's right. Gotcha. Now, another concern was you mentioned the green area that was dubbed out there in Oak Cliff. Now, that green area, from what I'm understanding, that's a targeted community in Oak Cliff. But those same targeted communities are in all the states and cities abroad and most of your urban areas around the country. Is that correct? And what is the green
Correct.
area?
The
Kind of
green
talk about
area,
who would be the people in the green area that could benefit the most from these programs.
everybody that look like us. The green area is the area that produces the most return on my investment. So if you want to find out what a green area is, you can literally type in EB5 Visa investment investment map in your community. So if you live in Dallas, I typed in EB5 Visa investment map, Dallas, Atlanta, Chicago, Cleveland. You can literally just type in EB5 so you can understand what it is. And every municipality has a map. That map is going to tell you what's green. Green means is where they now have to put the money. In the city of Dallas, we have places like Frisco and Plano that use these finances to grow, right? Which is fine. But now, and when it comes to the city of Dallas, the green area is Oak Cliff, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
So again, if you want to look up the green area in your community, it's simple. You look for EB5 investment map, or you can look up high demand occupation list. EB5 investment high demand occupation list. Another thing you can look up is WIOA. It used to be called Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, ACT. But if you're familiar with acts, you have the CARES Act, you have the Workforce Investment Opportunity Act, you have the community, the CRA, that they monitor the banks. But the reason why we've been failing is because we did not realize that these acts already existed. The acts are amendments to the Constitution, or the acts are amendments to the way we do business. For years, they've been having money to support our community. The problem is that we're not getting it. It was going to the big trade schools or the colleges. So with my program and what I'm giving you guys is the opportunity to start your own school. I started 5 schools within the last 5 years using this program. And it didn't cost me a dime. The only thing it cost for me was to make sure that I was at the right meetings at the right time, to rub the right shoulders and shake the right hands.
That's good. And those same contacts and how to do will definitely be exposed as we continue to follow you and stay in contact with you. Because a lot of times I do believe one of the questions I did receive was the paperwork. And understanding the paperwork, what's required there. I mean, should a person hire an attorney? I mean, most people may not be in position to afford to hire an attorney to go through the paperwork. Is there a source or system that you provide with that in mind?
Yes. So with my program, we're going to do it all for you. All right. We're going to physically sponsor you. We're going to turn around and just make sure. Right now, I have the saying, we must be doing something phenomenal when the screen keeps coming out.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this. We said this: oatmeal is better than no meal. So
Absolutely.
I'm not gonna hold back. At this time, if you contact me and you're ready, meaning that you have an EIN, you have a Dun & Bradstreet, you have a viable business, meaning that you have something to offer. I don't really have time for you to think about it. I want to challenge you to be in the game. So if you have that, we'll waive the attorney fees, because it's just making sure that you have the paperwork in order to submit. So the only thing we're missing is for you to follow us, get with Brother Bay, get the toolkit that we put together, and we'll walk you through step by step.
Step by step.
And I'll make myself available on a better phone that we don't be cut off.
Yeah, man. We got to get you the alumni phone, man. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but hey,
I'm telling you, the phone is blowing up. They see us.
Yeah. And I can only imagine that it is, because people are looking for a way out of their present situation. A lot of people feel as though that they're being held hostage because a lot of the jobs are failing them. A lot of the doors
like I said, every time my phone
rings,
because it's out. But again,
yeah, and that's what's taking place.
My phone keeps ringing because.
Pardon me? What'd you say?
I said the reason why my phone is cutting off because they got us live, and every time that thing rings, that means that somebody that's listening to this podcast and they got my number and they're calling. So if you guys are listening to this, give me about 30 minutes. Let us get this message out. I got
let's
you.
get this
I'm
message
not gonna
out.
leave you.
Let us get this message out.
Let's get this message out, brother.
Yeah, because people are hungry. They ready to eat, you know, and we can look at.
Well, it's time to eat.
Yeah, and we can look at adversity as a means of opportunity for those who are willing to take the necessary steps to get this done. You know, you ain't gonna walk out your door in the morning and it's gonna be $2 million sitting there in a duffel bag neatly folded up for you. We got to go get it. Here's information that we can use and use it and act most expeditiously. Now, what's the turnaround time for something like this to actually bear fruit?
Okay, so the turnaround time, if we can get these applications in and make sure that your paperwork is ready. And let me recap what we're providing again. We're providing a couple of different projects. The program that we're going to provide, we're going to have guaranteed funding for anybody under the age of 27 that's been incarcerated, that's homeless, that has no career path. We're going to provide them with information for 17 weeks or more that they can now be identified as the first-class citizen. The second thing we're going to provide, any woman, any queen out there that has her own business, I'm going to show you how to be guaranteed your piece of the pie, guaranteed the projects, because you are the leaders of the community. There's no reason why you should not be hiring and educating your students, which is your
children. Your children.
The next thing we're going to offer, brother, we're going to offer joint venture information. So now he can no longer call himself your significant other or baby daddy or whatever the lingo is. Now he comes to you as a proper joint venture. He can come to you with value. We also are going to provide you information for veterans. We have a lot of veterans who've left money on the table, so they can now use your program and your resource. We have over 8,000 different programs, anything from starting your own barbershop, starting your own restaurant. Remember, my program is not for workers. My program is for leaders. I'm not going to teach you how to work for any. I'm not going to teach you to be a business owner. So if you want to be a worker, this might not be the work site for you. I might not be the right guy. My job is to show you how to make yourself ready within 30 days. If we get this paperwork in now, it takes about 30 to 45 days for your program to be approved. That's on the federal side. But when it comes on the local side, it's easy as 21 days. We have to let them know that you are ready to bring in these young people. This is why companies like the name of Amazon or UPS or these big companies that can man and staff thousands of people are winning, because they're getting the tax breaks, they're getting the incentives, they understand about the funding, and then they're still paying you minimum wage. All right. If you're not making livable wages now, then you're really lost. One thing about the CARES Act, they told us in order to get that stimulus check and not pay it back, you either got to change your career path, you have to find a job that's going to pay you less than the wages, or you have to volunteer. Volunteer means school to me. You volunteer to go to school, you volunteer to go to church. Some people volunteer to go to jail. But if you don't understand the importance of now being active and spreading this news to everybody in your community, we have the program, we have the tools. Only thing we need now is to understand the play. What is the play? We've been getting kicked around for a long time. We got 2 seconds left on the clock and we got the ball. So let's return and receive this message. No matter what the distractions is, let's receive this message and put it into action.
Absolutely. Because that's what it's all about, taking action, you know, and mores are active and not passive. We can't sit around and continue to watch things happen to us. We got to create conditions so things won't happen to us. We create our own destiny.
Yes, sir.
You know, we are creators and we make our own. And if that is the case, then we can take this that's in front of us right now, each and every one of us, for the things that we've already been accustomed to doing anyway. Now we can situate it and establish it as a business. And for those of us who may not have a lot of business intellect, guess what? We're going to teach you how to do that. Okay, so it's a work in progress. It's step A, B,
Yes,
C, D, E. All you got to have is enough desire and ability to be coachable,
exactly.
to be teachable, and we can walk you through that process. And I do believe that this is going to be a good thing that's going to be shared amongst millions of people who find themselves right now faced with dire circumstances because they don't know where their next meal or dollar is coming from. A lot of people are economically disadvantaged. Correct. This gives you the advantage because you understand how economy works and the sources that are around us we can use to our own benefit. I mean, with all the things that you got going on there in Texas, I mean, tell us some of the things that your foundation is doing.
So with my foundation, what I love about what I'm doing with my foundation, and again, the question was what my foundation was doing. My foundations is now have the legal advisors that are available. We also have the tools that are available. When I say tools, I bring together my mastermind group. I have one of the top brokers that will teach and reach and show people how to get financially secure. Capital raisers on my team. My foundation is Fund to Build. We have capital raisers. We have, if you're in the real estate industry, we have a brokerage company. We have our own construction company. We have our own landscaping company. We also have our own self-defense program. My foundation is going to try to force you guys to ask me and give me an excuse. I don't want to say ask me. Ask me an excuse. I don't want to say tell me an excuse. Ask me an excuse. And if you're really serious, my foundation has raised enough capital and funding to put these balls in motion. And it takes less than 21 minutes to get me on the phone and run through the toolkit, not the NFL kit, but the actual toolkit that will give you every resource to be successful. Another thing, if you are hiring people and you need training, this program would allow for you to now to get your reimbursements and get funding that has nothing to do with the federal, it has nothing to do with the CARES Act. It's funding that the wealthy, the top 1% have been using for decades to train individuals. This is why that they're keeping us in the loop or at the low end of the pole, because we don't realize that now the playing field is leveraged. And according to the census, it's only about 12.2% of us that live in this United States of America on this side of the West. So that 12.2, if we're all on food stamps, we'll still be 12.2. If we all had unemployment, we'll still be 12.2. I call it Wall Street. What if 12.2% of us all had a business, a nonprofit, a matching grant, tools and experience to rebuild our community? And this is what he means when he says, make America great again. These resources will make us perfect because now we are on the same level field that we no longer have uneducated, lazy workers. I have programs for dislocated workers. I have programs for veterans, women, young adults, but entrepreneurs. This is not a food stamp. This is not a food stamp program. This is to get you off of food stamps. In the city of Dallas, I can say this. In Oak Cliff, Texas, in 2014, every house in 2014 was only appraised for $40,000 to $60,000. Right now, you cannot find a house that's not valued at $300,000. Your community that you live in now, these investors have came and partnered with our federal government, which is fine, but they put money into the pipeline for us to have access to it, and we don't even know it exists. So what my program does, it goes into depth. Of course, we're live now, but my program would definitely dive deep into your resources. It might just be that you need the right contact. My foundation would support that. So this is not going to be a hard, drawn out program because this has been studied, and I've also been endorsed by the NFL alumni, which is again one of the largest and most powerful alumni associations in America.
Absolutely. Now I have another question for you, and I do thank you for that. How can a religious organization start to structure themselves to begin the process of bringing in funds, grants, and establishing business entities?
Okay, you start a school. Every temple right now should have their own funded trades as well as their own. So it's a difference between a certificate and a degree, right? So our religious community or our religious temples or our schools or our churches, the first thing they need to do is share the wealth. There's no reason why, if we're doing a meeting today and I'm live in Zoom and I'm having a service, why am I not getting the tax deductions for joining you? So I don't want a $20 million church. I want 20 million members that are on the same page. So again, to answer that question, it's simple. I'm going to walk your church. I'm going to walk you through the process of how you can now turn your place of worship to a school. We're going to identify the trades. We're going to identify the joint ventures within of the temple or within your church or within of your organization. It's very simple. How many times have you been to church and they ask you for your resume? You know, so and that's what I bring to the table. What is your work? What is your network? What do you need? You know, how can we help you be financially secure? So the programs exist, yes. And if you're a religious organization, you get more of the bells and whistles because you're already in the tax exempt status.
So would a religious corporation fall up under the same governmental structure or policies as a 501c3 or no?
Well, unfortunately, this program is for the masses. So I don't care if you're a 501c3, 4, 11, 16, 22, 1, it doesn't even matter because this movement is not religious. It's more action. So we need to get back to the basics. You know, we need to identify these trades and these programs and say, you can also work with the workshop of your mind. So we need to get this information to anybody that's homeless or wealthy. All right. When I say wealth is not having access to this information. And that's what I'm bringing to the table. So when it comes to the religion piece, I don't care about your religious beliefs. Uplifting and providing uplifting services for Father humanity, like what I'm taught, then it does not matter. And so, but to answer your question, this program is for the masses. But let's start with our generation first. Let's start with our culture first. As this information has been out there, I just happened to find out about it and I became a student of the game. So now let's win. Eric Thomas is one of my favorite motivational speakers. He said, all blacks. All right, let's put on, so let's put on the fez, the turbans, or whatever we have to put on to lead this mission. Because of course, I want my family to have this information first. But when it comes to the discrimination piece, that's not what I do. So Absolutely. To answer your question, this program is for anybody that wants to be self-sufficient. These grants are put out there for anybody who wants to learn a trade. These programs are for anybody who wants to offer a service, but we did not realize that we get incentivized for putting our own people to work.
Absolutely. And that's a good way to address that, you know, because other concerns would have been like, you know, well, with the NFL alumni, how does that kind of correlate with a, you know, how could that be beneficial to the religious organization? And what you just stated was any religious organization, corporation, or things of that sort, they should have an extended arm that can operate independent of the religious doctrine of that organization. It's for the uplifting of fallen humanity.
Yes,
we
sir.
have to remember what our purpose is. It's for the uplifting of fallen humanity. And in doing that, and in uplifting fallen humanity, you have to educate the people, because the people are miseducated or they don't have any knowledge of how to get this done. So you create a school inside of your organization to educate the people. And the people that come as a student, of course, they are an apprentice, because we're not giving them an actual bachelor's or PhD or an associate's degree. They're getting the apprenticeship certificate, if I'm not correct. Is that correct?
Yeah, they'll actually get a certificate that's been certified through the Department of Labor. The Department of Labor has one job. They monitor to make sure that the people that come out of this course will no longer be paid minimum wage.
All right. So
if you think about construction, I'm not trying to teach you how to be a plumber when I can teach you how to be an investor. There's a big difference.
It's a huge difference. It's a huge difference.
Yeah. So
now the thing is, now we do understand that not all people will want to have the responsibility that comes along with running a business. Some people may come in
Correct.
and want to learn the skill, and to them, their contribution back to the uplifting the fallen humanity is, hey, I'm a master plumber, and that's what I love to do. Okay. They might, because somebody got to get out there and do the work, but it's nothing wrong with you teaching all those individuals on how to do that. What you're saying is we can lock down that knowledge with the individual bodies, because once you get the bodies with the knowledge and the information, a nation is inevitable when we're all working together, if I'm understanding you correctly.
Yes, correct. Because I'm gonna relate it back to football again. The offense are the people who tend to sit in these corporate jobs and tell you to play. The defensive people, we've been taught those are the people that has an apprenticeship model. So the offense is always an intern. An apprentice is always the defense. But when I'm talking about special teams, we're going to control the land. We're going to control the labor. We're going to control the materials. We're going to control the deed. We're going to control the, you get me? Everything. Nothing should leave your house anymore. If you're at home now, people are going crazy because they don't know how to teach their kids trades. So now you can now be able to identify the skill set by saying, I don't care what you're good at. All right, master something, but let us put you in a mastermind group so that we don't have to keep spending money outside of the family.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll have a safety net in place, because we got a lot of youth right now where the schools are actually closing the doors. So now they're being forced to sit down in front of the Zoom to learn something anyway. Why not be able to offer that type of educational service to the populace at large to create better, more wholesome individuals, you know?
Correct. Definitely. And if you know anything about the trades, Brother Bay, most, when you're going, and I didn't realize about the trades until I had friends that were associated with like the armed forces or the military. Trades are needed because if something happens, who's going to uplift and rebuild? That's where we fell at. We have men that don't know how to use our hands. All right. We have women that are out there doing the things that a man should do. But this program says now only are we going to teach you a trade or a skill set, we're going to make sure that you get this information faster. There's no reason why at the age of 16, you should not have 4,000 hours of a trade, an associate's degree, an EIN number for your for-profit, an EIN number for your nonprofit. So by the age of 16, you're already understanding financial wealth, because to me, the American dream for me is understanding currency exchange. These young people understand apps. They understand how to program phones. They understand how to do drones. Those are programs that requires our hand. And if we'll let the computer build this for us, we're going to be deaf, dumb, blind, and stupid. So what I bring to the table is showing you how to reprogram the young people, saying we used to do it, but we didn't get paid. Unfortunately, I can't work for $10 an hour. The average young person that starts with me has to make $25 an hour as a first-year student. Let me say that again. My first-year student has to make $25 an hour because that's the type of training they're getting. And it's a write-off. It's supported by funding. Only thing I'm doing is making sure that I give them the hours. We have to, it's called the accountability committee. We have to hold each other accountable for this information and making sure we use it the right way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Brother Dunbar Bey, I mean, you know, this has been a great dialogue. I've been enjoying this cipher a lot myself, and we're definitely moving in this direction. And we're going to get on top of this most expeditiously, as well as other individuals that are ringing my phone now. They want to know more information. Hey, what's the next step? What's the next step? So could you please, for the listening audience, leave some contact information. So people got to just hit you on the email or whichever way, visit your website, your company website, kind of give the audience your contact info so that they can follow up with you.
Okay. The first thing I tell people is hold me accountable. So Google my name, LaTerrence Dunbar Bey.
Spell that LaTerrence for him.
LaTarence. Again, LaTarence. My last name is Dunbar, Dunbar Bey, Bey. You can find out my social media platform, my LinkedIn. I'm learning the LinkedIn. I mean, not LinkedIn, but I'm learning the Instagram. I'm learning the Zoom. So I do have my own website as well. That's my first name, LaTerrence Dunbar Bey, or you can find me at dunbarl3c.com. You can find me because I'm the only one in the city of Dallas that look this handsome. All right. If you do have, if you have an Instagram, my Instagram, and I'm learning this, is at Dunbar Bey, the @ Dunbar Bey. What I wanted to do, Brother Bey, is I didn't want to push too much on this podcast because I want to have a relationship with the listeners. We want to teach them because a lot of times, just like a lot of other what we call dysfunctional people, they'll take our information and they'll use it for the ill purposes. So what I want to do is give me 21 days, follow this brother right here, follow this podcast, share it. We will definitely have a better phone connection. We'll definitely have it where we can share this information, but reach out to you, follow you, because we'll drop jewels. It doesn't take a lot to give you 21 minutes, but I don't want you to rush to do this. It took me 17 years to come up with this platform. I had to go through the criminal system. I had to go through training camp. I had to watch film. I had to eat the right things. So if I'm going to give you this meal, I want to take it real slow so we can answer and ask all the questions needed, because I don't work for the federal government. They're making changes right now, but I know right now we don't have 12.2 the percentage of America that look like us that has this information. And that's what we're going to bring to the table.
Absolutely. And I definitely appreciate you there, my brother. And I appreciate you for taking the time out, to answer the call to come on All CNI. And we look forward to having you again back on the podcast within a couple of weeks. We're going to be revisiting some things and talking about what we were actually able to see and what we're looking forth in harvesting, and actually follow that process all the way through. And I think that'd be something good for the listening audience as well, because, a lot of people, they're from the show me state. I got to see it. Well, guess what? It's already happening. All you got to do is follow the brother. You'll see exactly what he's implemented there in Texas. I did some research and it's official. And the thing is, he's trying to make it official for those who are willing to come in and learn something that you didn't know prior to. And I think everybody here today has been definitely moved in some capacity or another, because all the things that we take for granted in life, today we can actually put emphasis on it and put some more faith in it and understand that, beyond all this darkness that's in front of us, after the rain is going to come the sunshine. And we know that day is going to come, but we got to have more purposeful direction in where we're going, not just mere ideas. This is something that's actually working right now with boots on the ground. And what's happening there in Texas, it can happen in Detroit, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Florida, California, you name it. If it's any ground where we're there, it can actually take place. So again, LaTerrence Dunbar Bey, we would like to thank you again for coming on the show. We'd like to thank our listeners for tuning in and asking all those questions. We didn't get to all the questions that were asked, but we got to a few of them due to the sake of time. And I'd like to thank you all again for coming out and listening and continuing to plug in with the All CNI, which is part of the Building Business Network, Building a Nation Network. My apologies. It's all a part of the Building Nation Network. And we're going to have a show this Wednesday. We're going to have Universal Love. Tune in to that show. That will be at 7:00. That's going to be hosted by brother and sister Adams Bey. And as well as Thursday, once again, they're going to have Real Talk, Morris Talk, Girl Talk. And that's going to be hosted by Sister S. Johnson Bey, Johnson Hill, and Sister N. Greer ill. And that's going to be a good show. I don't know all the panelists that's on either show, but I do know that both of those shows will air on this same channel at 7 p.m. Wednesday and Thursday. Please follow us then and look forward to hearing back from you and actually getting a testament of everything that's taking place here today, and have all the contact information for you going forward. Again, we'd like to thank you for tuning in to the All CNI. Look forward to seeing and hearing from you again. LaTerrence, you got any parting words you'd like to say?
Well, I want to say thank you guys again for joining in. Definitely reach out to Brother Bey. He's doing a phenomenal job. And again, we want to say we apologize for the in and out with the Zoom meeting. I'm excited, and I'm not. This is not. And I want to say this on camera. I'm not looking to charge you. I'm looking to give you these resources. This is bigger than me. So let's now finally tune in, reach out to us, ask the questions, give us an opportunity to put our money where our mouth is when it comes to resources. Challenge us on a more positive way, and then take this information and share it, because sharing is caring. I say again, oatmeal is better than no meal. So again, thank you for what you're doing. Peace and love to my brothers and sisters of the Morris Temple. And I want to say thank you guys for what we're doing. And let's be visible. Let's people know that we're about our business. Let's get out of the hiding. Let's go into these communities. Let's show our face, and let's stand up and stand strong. So with that being said, I yield the floor. And thank you guys again for this opportunity.
Well, thank you again. And thank you all again from the All CNI. We got the first episode of Let's Talk About Structure. And there's a lot more layers to this onion. And we just got a little taste of it today. So there's more to be revealed. There's more coming. Just tune in, stay tuned, and, keep the prophet out front, and all will be well. And I say peace to everybody that's tuned in today. And I'll be giving you a call momentarily, brother.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
All right.